Good afternoon, dear students of grade 9. Welcome to this seminar for the first module, the second module, units 3 and 4. Before we start, allow me to introduce my colleagues in the studio. Ms. Ula Al-Mouay, English Language Supervisor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
And Ms. Lamis Zainab, English Language Teacher. Both are from Tartus Directorate.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Let's start right away. We're going to cover the units 3 and 4. Unit 3 is about countries and Unit 4 is about cities. We're going to start with grammar, the grammar in both units. And as a start, it's going to be reported speech. Ms. Ula Al-Mouay, the floor is yours. Please.
Now, reported speech, when we say reported speech, it means we are reporting something. So someone is speaking and we are reporting what this one is saying.
We are re-saying what someone else said.
So it can be in the present or in the past. We use words such as say or said, tell or told to report what these people are saying. So it can be in the present or it can be in the past. We use say or said. But here in their book, they are only working with in the past.
In the past, said. And what is the difference between said and told?
With told, we have to use an object.
Okay.
After they told him, tell her.
Exactly.
With said, we don't need an object. It can say he said, and you say what he said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Ms. Lamis, we're going to move to talk about the pronouns. What happens to the pronouns
in reported speech? When we report speech, the pronouns change. Like, for example, we change I into he or she or it according to the reporter or the speaker. We to they, you, I or we, me into him or her, and then us to them. Okay? This is concerning the pronouns. Like, for example, I say, I want to buy a car. She told me, if the speaker is a girl, okay? She told me, or she said she wanted to buy a car, okay? She wanted, first of all, we changed the subject, I, into she, because she said that, okay? She had, for example, she had her own car. She told me that, or she has her own car. She told me that she had her own car. We changed
I have my own car.
Well, so we're going to talk about everything, about the verb changing and the pronoun. But now we are talking about the pronoun changing. As you said, yes, if the speaker is a woman or a girl, we report using she.
She.
If it is a male, man or a boy, we say
report
he.
Using he.
If it is a group of people saying we report saying they. You can go for both, singular or plural.
I or we. They have to put in mind, it's not about the subject pronoun only. We can use like my, it becomes his or her.
Yes.
So they have to put that in mind.
So every pronoun changes.
Yeah.
If it is possessive pronoun, my becomes his.
Or object pronoun.
Yes. Now we come to verb changes.
Next step is to change tenses. We have to go a step back to the past. So if we have the sentence in the present simple, it becomes past simple. Present continuous becomes past continuous, and etc. So for example, here we have examples. Like in the direct speech, if the sentence like, I always play tennis on Saturdays, said Ibrahim. Now I becomes, now Ibrahim said that I becomes he, and always played, not play. We have to change the play to go one step to the past. So I played tennis on Saturdays. Of course, here Saturdays doesn't change because Saturday is fixed. Present continuous becomes past continuous. Like, we're going to the zoo, said Iman. You can come with us. Here we have different kinds of pronouns. Iman said that they, we becomes we, they, and are becomes where. Are where going to the zoo. Now she said that I could. So they have to understand who was speaking and who is speaking now. I could come with them. Now us becomes them. So they have to pay attention to the pronouns and they have to pay attention to the tense.
Yes, thank you. So now we are talking about the changing of the pronouns, the possessive pronouns, and the verb. The pronouns change, and the possessive pronouns change as well.
Yeah.
and we go one step back
to
in
the tense,
the tense.
When
in
we
the
use
time.
said, of course, they have to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Of course.
That we use the said, yeah.
Actually, I would like to clarify this because you started with this. In reporting, we can, of course, report someone saying at the same time of speaking, and we can report saying says. In this case, we don't go one tense back because we just changed the pronoun. But in grade 9, they don't have this.
Yeah.
In grade, they don't need to fear or panic. Don't panic, dear students. It's very easy. Just we report using said or told with an object, and we go one step back
with everything
with
in the sentence.
Tense. Miss Lamis,
Yeah.
in reported speech, you are going now to give some examples.
Yeah. For example.
Floor is yours.
Okay. She wants, for example, she wants to go to her football match, okay? Or he wants to go to his football match. She said that she wanted to go to her football match or to his football match, according to the speaker, whether it's a girl or a male or a female. So, okay, we see that after that we used, after said we used that. That is optional here. So it can be omitted or it can be left. Okay, this is concerning a reporting speech. For example, we can say, okay, this is concerning the reported speech with that. If we want to add tell, okay, so the past of tell is told. Here, after tell, we always add an object pronoun. So that is not optional here. It's a must. Like, for example, Ali, okay, told me that he wanted to go to the beach, for example. Okay, here that is optional, is not optional, it's a must.
Okay. We move with Miss Ula. We have an exercise.
Okay. Of course, they're not going to have these kinds of exercises in the exam, but
it's just to train them.
Exactly. Report these people's statements. Here we have statements. For example, I live in Damascus with my family. So, points to pay attention to. We've got pronouns like I and my. These are going to change. And the tense, live. Live is going again to change. Now, I and my are going to change into he or she based on the first words we are using. Here we have, he said that. So, I becomes he lived in Damascus with his family.
Okay.
He lived in Damascus with his family. I come from Canada, but my parents are Chinese. Now she. Now I, the same I, now turns to be she.
Female.
So female. Now she said that she came. Come becomes came from Canada, but her parents were Chinese.
Yes.
Everything is going to change. Even though we know that they are still Chinese, this is a fact, but because they are ninth graders, they don't need to think about it. So R is going to be where.
So the agent determines the change.
Exactly.
But the tense goes one tense back.
So
one tense back,
more than one sentence, and with every sentence we have I, but sometimes it turns to be he and sometimes she. Based on the beginning.
Can we let Ms. Lamis
I am reading a very
3 and 4?
interesting book about Syria. She said that she was reading a very interesting book about Syria. Here, we changed the subject, okay, into she. I am reading, so she was reading, and we stepped the verb back a tense, like we changed it into the past. She was reading a very interesting book about Syria. For the rest, it is okay. I am learning Spanish for my next trip to Spain. So he said that. So the speaker is a male or a boy. Yeah. He said that he. We step back the tense back. He was learning Spanish for his next trip to Spain. So he said my next trip. So we changed it into his next trip. We changed, first of all, we changed the subject pronoun. Then we changed the verb. And then we changed the positive adjective, the positive pronoun.
Now here I showed the students the correct answers. We move to another grammar part.
With words.
Miss Sola.
Yes, words like too much, too many, too alone with an adjective, more, enough, a and the, some, all, many. All these we're going to go through them.
In details.
In details. To start with too much, too many, and too. Too much and too many are used with nouns. And here we have to differentiate. are these nouns countable or uncountable?
Yes.
When they are countable
Now,
nouns,
if we're going to make it simpler, countable means we can
They
count
can
them
count.
1, 2,
they have
3,
numbers.
4.
They can
Yeah.
have numbers.
And uncountable, we cannot say 1, 2, 3, like
For example,
water.
if I said I need sugar, how
Sugar.
much sugar do you need? I need to be
We
more.
cannot say
yes,
2 sugars.
Yes,
Yeah.
two, of course.
Except if
Pieces,
we mean the
if we-
cube.
Pieces
Yeah,
of sugar.
that's-
Yes.
So countable noun things, nouns that can be counted like car, tree, book, pen, etc. These words can go with too many and the nouns. So too many cars, too many trees, too many pens, etc. Like this one, there are too many cars on the road. And we have to pay attention to the fact that too is negative.
Yes.
So
Thank you for saying
this can be good to have too many cars or too many of something.
Actually, when we use too with an adjective, the meaning is negative.
Negative.
It's more
I
than
always-
we want.
Yeah, I
or
always
more than
add this to
accepted.
my students. Like when you say she's too beautiful or very beautiful. Very beautiful, it means like something positive. Too beautiful, that
Bad
yeah,
consequences,
it's like
maybe.
yeah, with a bad.
And sometimes when you use too with
Or-
a positive adjective, it gives the opposite meaning.
That-
That's it.
meaning.
Yeah,
If I say you are too clever,
yeah. It means
You're
maybe
mocking,
cleverer than
maybe.
your teacher.
No, or you're mocking. This can
yes,
be.
Or
it
that's-
means
yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now with the uncountable nouns like water, milk, honey, etc., we use too much with the noun, like there is too much pollution in cities these days. Again, this is something negative,
The
this is
speaker
something
doesn't
bad.
like the
We don't
pollution.
like the fact that we have pollution.
Yeah.
About more and enough, they have to understand the meaning of these two words and how to use them in the sentences. We use them again before the noun, like to describe quantity or number. We don't need more cars. We don't need more cars. No more is requested. We've got enough roads. We've got enough roads.
And both come before the noun.
Before
That's
the
it.
noun, both
Enough
of them.
cars and more cars.
Now, two can be alone when it's followed by an adjective.
To describe a noun.
To describe a noun, exactly. Like, for example, he's too stupid to participate in something. Let's say we don't like to use the word stupid. Too with the adjective, or not good enough. This is not good enough to be used, for example.
And the
to
students
describe
should pay
nouns.
attention that enough always comes after the adjective and before the noun.
Before the noun, yes.
So this is important to
So the position of enough
is after the
after
adjective,
the
and before,
and
the
before
noun.
the noun.
Here we have an example. The pavements are too narrow. Too narrow. They are not wide enough. These words can be used, they can pay attention to it because they can be used as missing words. So they need to understand the meaning of the word.
Now we come to an exercise. Complete these
Yeah.
sentences with these words and phrases. Miss Lamis.
Yeah. There are too many cars in the city. There isn't enough space for them all.
Actually,
okay?
this is what I talked about. We have
Just a spelling mistake.
before it. We need to have S here.
Yeah. So space here is a noun. So we described the noun. We described it using enough space. There isn't enough space for them. There is too much pollution in the city. Pollution is non-count. Okay. You know that pollution is a non-count. But when we come to talk about the pollutants, okay, or what causes the pollution, we use it as count, okay? So it's uncountable now. There is too much pollution in the city. We need to find a solution to this problem. We go to number 3. People drive cars. It is bad for the environment. Here, too many people. Here we are talking about the countable noun people, okay? It means too many people. It's negative
More
one,
than
okay?
okay.
Yeah, more than, yeah. Drive cars, it is bad for the environment. And here, people should use bicycles. Here, the meaning is positive, like more people should use bicycles. It means here more described, okay, more positive.
Since it's a good thing, we don't say too many because too many is used for
sure.
negative
Yeah.
issues.
And bicycles
since
is
it's
like
a good
good
idea,
for the environment.
Yeah, good
so
idea
more
to-
people should use bicycles.
Exactly. Thank you. We move to another part of grammar about
Sure.
the articles, indefinite articles, definite articles, and quantifiers. Miss Saula?
Okay, now with a, and the, students always make mistakes differentiating between the use of these words. To start with a and, to differentiate between a and an, one of them is used before, where both of them are used with singular nouns.
Yes.
Now, what we use an before words start with a vowel. But here we have to pay attention that it's a vowel when we pronounce it, not the spelling.
Yeah,
The
that's
sound,
it
not the
means
letter.
Exactly.
The
So
sound,
The
not the
sound,
letter.
like, yeah.
yes, we use a with words that start with a consonant, like a car, a wall, things like that. But when we use an, it has to be a vowel, but with the sound,
The sound,
like
not the letter.
an
hour.
egg, an hour, etc. But
Umbrella.
Yeah.
let's
An
say, for
umbrella.
example, a university. University starts with U.
Yeah.
But
It's
it's
not a vowel.
pronounced. Yes, it's pronounced as a
So
consonant.
the sound, not the letter, as
the
you
sound,
said,
that,
yes.
not the letter. Now we use the plural noun without the for talking about things in general. So when we talk in general,
Before we move to the, Miss Saula,
yes, please.
allow me just to say clearly, we use a and an, as you said, a with consonants
And
and
an with
an
vowel
with
sounds.
vowels, with singular,
Yeah.
countable, indefinite nouns
That's it.
when mentioned for the first time and we have more than one of them.
An example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So singular, countable,
Indefinite.
indefinite nouns.
Yeah.
We have more than one of them and used for the first time, because when we mention something for the second time,
This is
it
the.
becomes definite and it takes the. Now you can go to the.
Okay, we were saying that plural nouns without the when talking in general. For example, when I want to talk about all teachers in the world, we say teachers, children,
We don't specify.
tables. We don't specify, so we don't use thou, we don't use an article. We use it for regions or names of countries, like the United Kingdom, for example.
When they are more than one word.
One
Or-
word, like the Middle East.
Yeah,
That's
and
it.
the north.
The
South,
north is
the
kind of
regions, like
direction.
when we talk about,
names
yeah,
of countries when they are
regions.
more than one word. Sometimes we can use the with a country or with a city when it gives you a surprise situation, like when I'm in Damascus, for example, and I move to another country for 10 years, I come back to Damascus, everything has changed.
Changed.
So I can say, this is not the
Damascus
Damascus
I used to-
I
Yeah.
used to know. So in this case we can, but usually with names of countries and cities, that is not used except if
For
they
parts.
are more than one word, two parts.
Okay, we use the, like you've said, sir, the second time we mention something. For example, he bought a car, the car is green. So the second time, because the first time is going to be preceded
A.
by a or an. So
Okay.
use a or an the first time you mention something, use a or an for one of many possible examples, an example.
Again, I wish to say something about the
what is
use of the. We can use it instinctively as students. We can put the. If the student who is listening to me or the one who is reading is going to say, which one do you mean?
Yeah.
So that is not accepted. But if the listener or the reader knows the thing I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
no need to-
that
No
is
need
used.
to.
Mention.
So when something is mentioned for the second time, when we have only one
For
thing
example, the door.
in the
door of the room.
in the room, you
door
have
is-
one thing. So by means of locality, can mean one thing, like the board, like the teacher. Miss Lamis, if you would like to continue about
Yeah.
the use of the.
Okay, using some, okay, to talk about the unspecified quantity. We use it for countable and uncountable nouns. Like, for example, I say I have some sugar and I have some chairs. So we used some before the countable
we
and
have-
the uncountable nouns. Yeah.
I think we have a call. We have a
Yeah.
call from Tartus.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
good afternoon all.
Good afternoon.
afternoon.
Who is speaking, please?
What? I
What's
didn't
your
hear-
name? What's your name?
My name is Sandy.
Sandy from Tartus.
Yeah, Sandy from Tartus, and I am in 9th grade.
9th grade. You're a student in grade 9. What is
Yeah.
your question, Miss Sandy?
I have a question about reported speech. Do we always have to change the tense to the past?
Okay.
I can take the lead.
Miss
okay?
Lamis.
Hello, Sandy. How are you?
Fine.
Yeah,
How
first
are
of
you?
all, we don't have always to change the verb, okay? When the case or the situation is still related to the time of speaking, there is no need to change the time. I'll give you example, for example.
Yeah.
Like, for example, she said she had 2 houses.
Yeah.
And she said she has 2 houses. When I say she said she has 2 houses, it means this is still the case today. I know that she has 2 houses and I can see that, okay? But when you
Okay.
say she said she had 2 houses, she either, okay, the one who is reporting either doubt about this, okay? It means
Or
she's not
lost.
sure about it, okay? Or
Okay.
she used to have 2 houses and now she just has 1 house, okay? So
Oh, yeah.
maybe she moved to another one, or she sold one, or she has none of them.
But
Oh,
with the,
Good.
them,
In
them
grade
to-
9,
in
in
grade
grade 9,
9,
to make
Yeah, but in grade 9, I guess
it's only you
this
use the
situation is
past.
not mentioned, so you just have to refer to the past.
yes, what Miss Lamis is
Okay,
talking about is
thanks.
in general.
Yeah.
Miss Sandy, in grade 9, when you have a question to report, change the time because you are not going to see it as she says.
Yeah.
It's going to be always she said.
Yeah.
And in this case, you need to go one step back in the tense.
That's
The present becomes past.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, is
Yeah,
it
we were
okay,
talk-
Miss Sandy? Do you have another question?
No, no, thanks.
Thank you
You're
for
most
calling.
welcome.
Hope is it helpful or you need more clarification? Is it okay with you?
Yeah, yeah. I understood it well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling. We continue.
Yeah, we were talking about some, okay? So we said that we used to be to talk about the unspecified quantity, like, and we use it for countable and uncountable nouns. There are some very interesting places to visit just outside the city, okay? Here, some very interesting places. The quantity is not specified, okay? Some. Okay, so it's not specified. So we used it before
it's
the
not
noun to
very
describe.
big quantity. It's
It's
more
not.
than
It's
one.
not very big,
It's-
but it's more than. Okay, not many, but not less than that.
Yes.
Okay, let's go into the countryside for some fresh air. Here, air is what uncountable. So also we use some to describe this quantity.
Yes. We come back to Miss Ola.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about all and many.
Yes.
And again, it's about the meaning. They need to understand the meaning. When we use all, for example,
Thank you, Miss Ella, for saying this, because there is a way in teaching used by some teachers, if not most of the teachers.
to solve the quiz.
Yes, they teach the students, telling them, if you see this, do that, which is wrong. Students need to know how to solve the puzzle of grammar instinctively by knowing the meaning and the situation, because not always using the word changes the meaning. I
Yeah.
can use now in the past. I can
Yeah, of
say,
course. Yeah.
now I was 2 years old
Yeah.
and I could speak. I can use now in the past, but if a teacher told me when you see now it's the present, it's going to be a problem for the student. So it's a better way for teachers to teach the students to understand the situation and to do the grammar according to the situation.
to leave
Yeah.
the situation, to leave the situation of the sentence, to
Yes.
understand what they are talking about,
Exactly.
rather than applying just the rule. So with all, for example, when we use all, we include every example of the subject. For example, all the glasses, all the tables, all the students. So we are talking about everyone or every example in this subject.
The whole of something.
The whole
or
of
some
something,
people.
exactly. Like all the houses in this street were built more than 300 years ago. So you won't find a
We
house.
don't accept any.
Exactly. You won't find a house that wasn't built more than 3,000 years ago. The word money, we use it to talk about a large but unspecified number of things. Many things, large number. Like many people move to the cities from the countryside to work.
Usually in grammar they say many and much are used in the negative,
Yes.
but we can use
With many use it, even if
in
it's not the negative.
in the positive and negative. We move to vocabulary. In the units, we have words about the weather, we have geographical features,
Yeah.
we have on the road, towns and cities.
They need to put it in sentences to understand the meaning, not just memorize the words as they are.
So what do you advise the students to do to understand the meaning of a word if they don't have a dictionary? To read, understand the full meaning,
In content, of
and
course.
then they can find the meaning,
meaning
of
of
the
it,
word in the context. Yes, Miss Lamis.
Yeah. For example, when some vocabulary related to the weather and climate, snow, storm, fog, worm, humid, dry, okay? In this context, okay, students can put them in sentences, or from the pictures that are shown in the book, they can understand, like they can see this in the activity book, okay? You can see the snowflakes, okay? So this is a snow, okay? When it's windy and rainy, it's stormy, so we have got a storm. Foggy, like you hardly can see, okay?
They can start a conversation about the subject.
Yeah, like
used
what's
in the
the
book.
weather like today? What's the weather like in winter? What's
So
the
it's
weather?
the teacher's
yeah,
role
it's the teacher's
to give them the
direct the
hints
That's it.
to
yeah.
understand the meaning of the words.
To go to
Snow is
geographic.
the white
yeah.
substance that fall from the sky
Yeah.
when it is very cold. Actually, it's kind of rain, but because the temperature is very low, it changes into snow. The storm is the strong wind,
Yeah, that's it.
usually happens in winter. Fog is when you cannot see
What you
because
can't
you
see.
have too much spray in
Like
the
a
air.
So
smoke, but we don't feel,
Yeah.
we don't smell a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, so the weather
Actually,
is foggy
the
then.
fog is a cloud,
Yeah.
but it's very low
Very
Yeah,
low.
it is.
near the surface that we cannot see when we look
That's-
forward.
Yeah.
Humid,
Warm, like
Warm, sorry,
like
warm.
the temperature. It's like around 15 degrees. Okay.
not cold,
Not cold.
and not hot.
We have cold. It's like 5 degrees Celsius. Okay. 10. It's like cool. Warm. Okay. 15. Up to 20.
Warm,
Okay. It's warm.
It's
Yeah.
not very hot.
No, it's not.
We like it,
Yeah.
like in spring.
Like you go.
Spring is nice
Yeah.
because
You
it's
go on
warm
picnics.
usually. Yes, we go on picnics.
Okay, humid, okay, it's like a little bit wet, okay, you feel like it's sticky, okay, You
Not
feel,
dry.
and especially not dry, like in Damascus, the weather is always dry, so your hair is always nice, okay,
But in Tartus, it's a
Tartus, it's a little bit humid.
You find it dry because you live in a humid
Yeah, it is
Exactly.
humid.
atmosphere.
Exactly.
It's not very dry. It is very dry in Aleppo, actually,
sweat
more
a
than
lot.
Damascus.
Yeah,
Yes.
and dry, like in the desert, okay, the weather is dry, so
No rain, maybe not wet.
Yeah, rainfall is happens. Doesn't happen frequently.
When we wash our clothes, they
Yeah.
become wet.
Wet.
That's it.
And when we spread them for
Yeah.
a day,
On the
for
line,
example,
they become dry.
Dry. That's
so this is the way a teacher can help students
Yeah.
to find the meaning of
And
the
I
words.
always tell my students, like when it's dry, you're always thirsty. You need water. Okay, so it's like what's the weather like in the desert or in some other places. We go on to geographical features:
Yes.
mountain, island, ocean. Mountain, okay, it's like that high, okay, highland. It has a peak, okay. Island, that little piece of land surrounded by water. I always give him example of Arwad Island. This is the only one that we have. An
Back
ocean.
to Tartus again.
Yeah, Arwad in Tartus.
Yeah, Arwad Island. Yeah.
You're lucky. You have everything in Tartus to explain.
Yeah, we are
about-
always
about-
invited to go there.
Thank you.
We'd be glad to
Thank you. My
invite you
pleasure.
there.
My
Okay,
pleasure.
ocean, it's a really big sea, okay? It has, variety of the wild, of the sea animals.
Body
okay?
of water bigger
Yeah,
than a sea.
that's
It's
it,
the
yeah.
ocean.
Yeah, like the Pacific Ocean,
Pacific,
the Atlantic, yeah. On the road,
Indian Ocean.
on the road, pavement, we can say also the sidewalk. It's
Sidewalk
where the
is
people,
American.
yeah, American word, and the pavement
In
is
Britain, we
Place
say
where
pavement.
pedestrians were.
yeah, where people walk, they are safe. Okay, so we don't have the cars on.
Actually, I heard a joke 2
What is
days
it?
ago about pavement. It was British, actually. He said in America they don't know where to walk. So when we say pavement, they may walk on the street. So they call it sidewalk to know where to walk,
Yeah.
so that they don't
They need
be
help with directions.
hit by a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A road sign, Okay, you need to know the road sign to go where to go in your car or walking.
It is
okay?
important for
it's really important,
pedestrians
especially
and
if you
for
want.
drivers.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, pedestrian crossing where people can walk and cross the street safely
Usually we
to
call
the
it
other
zebra
side.
line.
The zebra line, yeah. Town and cities. In the town, or cities, we always have a sports center where people can practice or do sport. Okay, we have the town hall and theater, banks. Okay,
The theater is where we have
where
you can see
you
plays.
you can
People
see play
performing
or
something.
performers. Bank where you can get money. Okay,
Yes.
or have the financial stuff. Okay.
Of course, students need to know the meaning of these words, and they can help each other by using a sentence, by checking the spelling, for example. These are ways to
And
remember.
sometimes using some pictures or flashcards.
course. And
If
we
the
have
teacher
plenty
is
of pictures in the
active
book.
enough, she can
Of
bring the
Now
flashcards.
we are helping now
yeah.
the students to know the meaning of the words.
Yeah.
And what to
we're
concentrate
helping,
on.
Yeah, we're
and
helping
read.
the teachers
Yeah, I guess first
how
of all the
to
student.
give them
Yeah,
these words.
that's it. But they should focus on each single, okay, or each new vocab, okay, because it's really important for the subject, and even to write their topics in the composition. Knowing about the vocabulary is a must.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, the students need to know the meaning of the words, but not necessarily to check it in a dictionary every
not
time
necessarily.
they try to
Not in
read.
Arabic.
Of course
Yeah.
not.
They can check it in Arabic at home,
Yeah.
so that they understand
not
the
at
lesson.
school.
It's okay. It's no problem. But at school, we have three ways to have the skimming, to find the gist, the
Yeah.
general meaning of the article. We have scanning to read for specific information, and we have reading then for details.
That's it.
So the students need to train themselves to understand the whole meaning and to answer the questions even if they don't know the meaning of all words. How? From the whole meaning of the question and the whole
Practicing,
meaning
by
of the
practicing.
part of the
Or the
answer.
text, yeah.
And later on, when they are studying at home or preparing
can
for
check
exam,
it.
they can check it in a dictionary.
Yeah.
We have an exercise, Ms.
Okay.
Ola.
Now what we are trying to do here is helping the students to know how to study. We are always asked this question, how can we study English? Well, we are trying to clarify things for you to know how to study. You have to check the grammar, you have to check the vocabulary, and here when you find examples like this in the book, you have to exercise with yourself, with your teacher, with your friends. For example, like answer this question, we have a question like this in the exam.
Yes.
So when you find such questions in the book, try to practice with yourself or with your friends.
So I understand your advice to the students is to get the correct meaning of the vocabulary they see
course.
and understand grammar and practice the grammar, not
That's
only to understand the rule,
Of course.
Yeah.
not.
to practice solving the grammar exercises so that in the exam they are going to be able to do it
Easily. because-
painlessly.
Yeah,
Painlessly.
painlessly. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, for example, when we find questions like this, what do you do in your free time? Now we see that we have present simple.
This can be speaking a
Yeah.
question and can be writing
Yes.
Yeah.
a writing question.
Yeah.
In their exams, it's going to be written. So they're going to have two questions by the end, before the paragraph. They're going to have two questions, such kind of questions. Like, what do you do in your free time? I play football, I watch TV, I
Surf the
draw,
net.
I paint, I serve the net, anything. So
I read.
they have to use the pronoun I and present simple. Because what do you do? And it's a free time.
Actually, to answer this, first they need to be prepared using grammar
Yeah.
Exactly.
correctly,
The tenses.
and they need to practice writing sentences. They need to write them, show them to the teacher can
Yeah.
correct them for them, and by this they can improve their writing skill, because to know how to write a paragraph starts by how to know to write
a sentence.
a sentence.
So they started with the vocabulary, then they write sentences like this, and then we can move on to the paragraph.
Actually, in teaching, the four skills are integrated: the listening, speaking, reading, and writing.
The second
Students can go gradually
Step
by
yeah.
step to know to do everything. What do you do in your free time? I can say I read books.
Yes.
I play tennis. I watch television. I have, so here I used the pronoun I because the question starts with you.
Yeah.
It needs to answer by I or we. But I can understand from this, actually, although you can refer to plural or singular, I can answer
That
with
it's
I because
yeah.
it is me the one who is
That's
going
it.
to answer.
Of course.
What
are you reading at the moment? Now we move to present continuous.
Yes.
The first one in the present simple, now present continuous. And I advise them to pay attention because they're going to use, most probably they're going to use the same tense. So present simple, answer with present simple.
We have a call.
Okay.
Don't forget
No,
what
I
you
won't.
were saying.
I won't.
Hi, hello.
Hello?
Who's speaking? What's your name, please?
Ali Ibrahim.
Ali Ibrahim, you're a
Eh?
boy?
Tartus, from Tartus.
A student from Tartus. Welcome, Ali. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
What is your question, Ali?
I have got about a question about topic.
About topics.
He might mean paragraphs.
Yeah.
You mean how to...
paragraph.
About paragraph.
Yes.
I can read a topic of activity book.
Yes.
He's
Read.
asking a question.
Yes, read.
You are asking if you may have
Yeah.
the topic from the activity book. Yes, it can be from the activity book
Or the student.
or
Or
from
the
the
student's
student
book.
book.
I can to read a topic from activity book only.
No, both of them.
You need to learn how to write any paragraph. And in the exam, this paragraph can come from the activity book or from the student book. If you know how to write a paragraph, you can write it easily. It's not enough just to learn the activity book. You need to study both books, the student's book and the
to train
activity book.
yourself how to write a topic by yourself.
So, Ali, learn the vocabulary, write sentences, then write a paragraph about the topics mentioned in both books. Okay?
From activity book only.
Activity
No,
book
both,
and the
both.
student's book.
No,
Activity and students.
Both.
Merci.
Is it okay now?
Yeah.
I think we lost
Yeah.
the call.
Both
Connection.
books, Ali.
Yeah.
Activity book and student's book.
Yes. It's not enough. Maybe some teachers tell them that it is
Just the
a
activity
choice.
book. Yeah.
And you are going to see two topics and you're going to choose only one.
Sometimes what is mentioned in the activity book is not mentioned in the student book.
No,
So
I mean
they
in the
need to
exam.
focus,
In the exam, usually the
Ah, yeah.
exam
One
they
of them
have
from-
two topics, one from the student's book, one from the activity book. So teachers teach the students how to solve the
Study
puzzle.
the activity
They
book.
say you don't need to study everything. If you just study the topics in the activity book, in the exam you find two topics.
Yeah.
Choose
One
one.
from the activity and one from so
Yeah.
you can choose the one from the activity. This is I think what was what
Yeah, what was
Ali's
it?
questions
Yeah.
was, but it's not enough.
No,
Yeah.
not
And I hope our teachers teach the students how to write a paragraph, not how to do the puzzle of exam.
We should change this mentality.
Yeah, we need to, because in the
But we
end,
gotta start with this from the beginning, not in the 9th grade. Like when they start writing actually in the 4th and 5th grade.
you're right, but
Yeah.
never it's too late. It's never
It's
too
never
late.
too late.
We
Yeah.
can teach grade
It's always
9,
never
we can
too late,
teach
yeah.
grade 12, but the problem is, as Ms. Ola says, we have a mentality which
Yeah.
is not correct. Actually, most of the students are marks hunters.
Yeah.
So when the teacher tells them, I'm going to help you how to hunt the marks, they follow this teacher and they follow his instructions. If the instructions were, if you see this, do that, they can succeed.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of students get high marks
But
in the
once
exam,
In the exam.
language.
but they cannot use
we were
English.
just talking about it.
So
Yeah.
it is the fault of
Yeah.
the teacher. And we're here to help teachers to guide them
Yeah.
how to teach the students. Writing a paragraph starts from knowing the vocabulary, how to write the words, knowing the structure of the sentence.
Yeah. To use correct grammar.
Teachers need to train the students how to write sentences. When a student is able to write a sentence, he can write 10 sentences and it is a paragraph.
So, exactly. The paragraph is a bunch of sentences, so it's not
And using the
difficult.
punctuation marks correctly.
Now we have a punctuation mark in question number 3
Yeah.
for you, Miss Lamis.
Like, where do you live?
A question.
Yeah, where do you live? The student can answer. Okay?
Sorry,
Yeah.
don't forget we have a call from Ahmed
Yeah.
from Damascus.
It's
Hi, Ahmed.
Hi,
Hello, how are you?
fine, thank you.
Good. What's your question, Ahmed?
The object is from the books or out
Again,
the book?
paragraph.
The paragraph.
The paragraph.
The object.
What do you mean by the object?
المواضيع.
The paragraph. The
It's a
paragraph. The paragraph. Yes, it is from the book. It's from inside the book.
From the writing.
Writing,
Yeah,
yes.
from the writing. Yes, exactly.
Thanks a lot.
But from both books, from the activity book and from the student's book.
From two.
Yeah, from both books.
Thanks.
Do you have
Fine.
another question?
No.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you, Ahmed, for calling.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you. We continue with Miss
Yeah.
Lamis.
Where do you live?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a simple question. The student can go to say, I live in Damascus, I live in Aleppo.
One way to ask,
Okay.
I
One
live
way
in a
to answer
city.
it, present
I live
simple.
in
Okay?
an apartment
That's it.
building.
Yeah.
I live in a house.
That's it,
I
yeah.
live in a villa.
Yeah.
Any answer is
Any
accepted.
appropriate
As long as
answer.
it's well
okay?
structured.
That's it, with the structure of the present simple. What are you doing on your holiday this year? Here, the question is in present
This can be a
continuous.
paragraph.
That's it.
The answer can be a
Yeah.
paragraph.
So the question is in the present continuous. So the student, okay, sticks to the answer.
Thank you for saying this. In the exam,
Yeah.
the students need to answer according to the question.
That's it. Yeah.
The tense of the question determines the tense of the answer.
Yes. That's
Although
correct.
sometimes a student can be very smart and can give the point, but we are talking in general.
That's it.
To be stuck to the tense is better.
That's
But if he is very strong and can give the meaning in any way, it's okay.
Yeah. The student can go like, okay. It's a
We have
call.
another call.
Yeah. It's okay.
Another call from Sulaiman from Damascus countryside. Hello, Sulaiman. Hello,
Gone with the wind.
Sulaiman, are you with us? We lost
Yeah.
we lost the call. Okay.
The student can go like, what are you doing on your holiday this year? Can go like, I am going to travel, okay? Or what I am traveling, or I am just taking it easy and staying at home, or I'm playing football with my friends. So it depends, okay? Here, the student might think about it as a holiday, okay, just a day, or a period. A period. If it goes like a period, he can go like to many answers, okay, and all of them would be appropriate and correct. Concern, okay, under the condition of writing the present continuous, or this is specifically the present continuous as a future. Present continuous as a future. What are you doing on your holiday this year? We mean like, what are you going to do on your holiday this year?
Since
So
it is arrangement, the
that's it,
student can
arrangement,
use the
yeah.
present continuous
That's it.
to answer, or simply
to.
can use
Or simply going to plus
tell
the-
us about his plan this year.
For these kind of questions, I advise students to use a full sentence, and they don't need to play smart now. So
Yeah.
just stick to the sentence, stick to the ones you are going to answer. So don't play smart now.
Yes, so be as simple as possible and you're going to get the full mark
Yes.
in the exam. Since we received questions about the paragraph, I would like in this seminar to help the students to know everything about the paragraph. What is the paragraph? How can I as a student write a paragraph? How can I exercise or train myself how to write a paragraph? Who wants to start?
We
Miss
can
Lamis.
start. First of all, it's like the main statement. What's the paragraph is about, okay? So we start the introduction talking about it. It goes like a funnel, okay? You start with a general idea and it goes like a funnel to the specific idea that we are going to talk about. Like, for example, if the paragraph, okay, for example, about smoking, the student can go like about smoking in general, and if he wants to talk about the bad effects of smoking, it's like the last sentence in the paragraph, in the introduction. And then we go to the body of the paragraph. The student can go like explaining about his statement, whether with or against. And to conclude, the student can revise what he or she just mentioned in the paragraph. Okay, so I guess it's not important to add any new idea in the conclusion. Just to stick to what you've written in the body of the paragraph.
Thank you. Miss Saula,
Okay.
do we usually leave a space for of a word before we write
We
a paragraph?
prefer to do that. We prefer to do that, but I think they are not going to be judged for that
Yes.
as ninth graders. Now
And can you tell us, before we move on,
of course,
in the exam, how are the students going to be judged according to the vocabulary, grammars?
in the exam, they're going to have 5 points. Categories in which the students are going to be giving marks. The first one is task response. Task response, it means when I ask you about the weather, you've got to answer about the weather. So when you respond to my question, this is task response, and you're going to get 10 marks.
If it is about weather and the student writes about his home,
he's going to lose the mark.
even if everything is correct. So the task response comes first.
Then we have vocabulary. You've got to use vocabulary that are related to the subject mentioned. I'm asking you again about the weather, so you can use the vocabulary used like storm, fog, worm, etc. So we need to find vocabulary that are strong enough, because now you are a ninth grader, you are not a first grader, not second, not elementary school. So you've got to use good words and related to the subject. Now we have to pay attention to the grammar.
How many marks are
10 marks.
Again, 10 marks for each category.
Yeah,
There are 5 with 5 marks.
So if the student writes correct vocabulary, he takes 10 marks for the task response
and
10
marks
for the vocabulary before we start correcting
the
grammar and the spelling.
Exactly. Now we move on to the grammar. Again, we have to understand that if the sentence is not grammatically correct, we cannot understand the meaning of the sentence, even if it's related to the subject and you are using the vocabulary needed, but if it's not grammatically correct, we may not understand. So we need to pay attention to the grammar. We have punctuation and spelling. They are like in one criteria, spelling and punctuation. They are not going to be judged for the first mistake or every mistake, so they need to be relaxed, but we need to see them there. We need to see full stops, commas, etc.
This is for punctuation, yes.
Exactly. We have something like communication. Did we get the idea you are trying to give us? So you are writing about something. Did we understand what you're writing about? Again, these are the points they need to put in mind while writing a paragraph.
Well, Ms. Lamis, will you please read the topics we have
Now, these
here?
topics are the ones mentioned in units 3 and 4 with under title like writing.
Just unit 3 and 4. A tourist site in your town or city.
So the student needs to write about a tourist site.
Like, for example, if the student from Damascus, he can write about
the Umayyad
Mosque, for example,
Hamidiyya
or
Souk,
Palmyra, or
Palmyra.
in the city or town or in your country, whatever
so
it is.
A site, a tourist tourist attraction.
That's it.
In any place, but since it is in your town or city,
It doesn't have to be a city.
it's not going to be about outside the country.
No, absolutely.
But since the city is in Syria, it's going to be in any place in Syria, even if it is from Tartus and he talks about Damascus, it's okay.
One unity.
The student may find a problem if he talked about Oxford.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Because, of course, he's not in Oxford now. So it's better to write about a place in Syria because it is specified here in your town or city, not outside.
That's it. So the second one is a city in Syria.
A city in Syria. Here, it's not a small place.
No,
it's not a tourist. It is a city, geographical area
you can talk
in
about
Syria.
population, geography, tourist attractions.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really rich, okay? And he can enrich it with a lot of ideas.
So he can choose Aleppo, Damascus,
Latakia,
Tartus,
any city,
Latakia.
Tartus,
all the cities in Syria.
Even Hasaka and Deir ez-Zor.
Yes, all cities.
I mean all cities.
Yeah, Syria.
Yeah. Write a story about a day out in a town or city. So you are from Damascus, for example, and you're going on a trip to maybe Latakia.
Here they have to pay attention that it's a day out, so most probably they're going to use the past simple. Because they're going to talk about something that happened to them.
It's like a trip you went on.
Usually when it is a story, we tell a story using the past tense. Yes, you are right.
Yeah, so a day out like you...
What if the story was about something imaginary and the student wanted to talk about it in the future? But it's not going to be a story.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Maybe he gets marks. It's better for the story to be...
Again, it's going to be tricky. We need students to be in the safe zone. So
that's it. An interesting natural site in your country. Close to this one.
Interesting natural site in your country, yes.
Close to the tourist site, okay? It's close a little bit, you know, the students here can play tricky stuff here, okay? They can just, you know, write about a tourist site and then go into details about talking about the natural aspects in that one. Reasons for and against living in the city.
This is added this year.
Yeah,
to
this
the
is
book.
added. It's a new one, and I guess it's a really
reasons for and against. So the same.
So, writing for and against.
So he's going to write the pros and the cons for living in the city. Why is it good and why is it not good to live in a city? So reasons.
And you need to give your opinion, I think, when. Are you with or against?
Yeah, of course.
You are on holiday and write a postcard to a friend. Again, here they may have to say, for example, dear Ali,
like
dear
a letter.
Ahmed. Yes, a letter.
The student needs to know how to write a letter. Postcard is like the letter, like the email. So he needs to start with dear and a name. Then he wants to tell. He needs to tell about
something happened, and in this case, it's absolutely in the past.
Yes, because it's happened
to them.
Happened to you.
Okay. With writing the paragraph, I sometimes advise students to write the introduction from the question. Like, for example, here, a tourist site in your town or city, you've got to mention, like you said, something about Arwad Island. We can say Arwad Island is a tourist site in my city, Tartus, for example.
You're using the way teachers use so that
it's easy because they are, ninth graders, so they need something easy to follow. But
now, these topics cannot be answered in the exam if the student didn't train how to write them.
Of course.
So, the student needs to know the tenses in grade 9. The student needs to write sentences using every tense and to consult the teacher to correct his or her sentences if they are correct or not correct, and to practice writing at home and at school. The teacher is going to guide him. When the student knows how to write a sentence, as we said, it's going to be easy sailing for the student to write. Of course, a lot of students may say we can memorize.
Okay, first of all, I think it's much harder than writing. Writing is much easier if they just starting now. Don't wait. Start now. Start writing. I think when
especially
they start
for the high school,
of course,
they are preparing something.
Even for now, they have. I think they have vocabulary. They have the grammar they need. They just need to start believing in themselves and start writing.
Ideas.
So use the draft. Write the vocabulary. Write sentences and connect these sentences with words like however, moreover, etc. And it's a paragraph. So it's not a very difficult task.
We have a call from someone whose name is Talib. Talib in Arabic means student in English, but this is a name. It's not student. Hello, Talib.
Hello.
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 We don't lose the.
How are you, Talib?
Hello. Hello.
Hello. What's your name?
Hello.
We can hear you.
Talib Karda.
Talib. Hi, Talib. What's your question, please?
Talib Karda.
Welcome, Talib Karda. What is your question? Do you have a question? What is your question?
Again, we lost the call.
We lost the call, I
He
think.
said 26, but I don't know.
We have
the
to
page
see
number or something.
26. He said 26.
Yeah, this is what I heard.
Maybe about the progress test.
Maybe. I'm not sure. We couldn't
Well,
hear.
about the progress test, they are in the book. So
Okay. We have 3 minutes
okay,
to wrap up.
if he's asking about the progress test is to revise your information, the information you've learned in the units. So you need to be familiar with the words to be able to do them, and they are of course required in the exam. They always ask this question. It's in the book, and everything in the book is required in the exam.
And some of the students ask if the topics in the progress test is
Are required.
are required in the exam or not. So I guess
course
this is
they are.
the question.
Everything in the book is required.
Yeah.
From the cover to the cover.
Exactly.
cover.
So don't say this is not going to come in the exam. You need to study everything. That's why we say
A chapter and verse.
prepare yourselves to know the language, and teachers, please prepare your students to learn the language as a language, and later on everything will be very
Of course.
easy.
Yeah.
Of course.
Let's summarize in 2 minutes, Ola and Lamis,
Yeah.
what we said, what we talked about in this seminar from the reported speech until now. I think reported speech is very important because a lot of students may get confused about it. Ms. Ola, please start.
Okay, so here in this seminar, we had a revision of units 3 and 4.
And 4.
We talked about the grammar, reported speech, and some articles A and quantity words like some, all, many, etc. With the reported speech, we have to pay attention to 3 points. The first one is changing the pronoun from I turns to be he, she.
So we change the pronoun
We change
first.
the pronoun. This
then
is number 1. Then we change the verb. We go a step back to the past. So present continuous
This is,
becomes
as
past
Ms. Lamis,
continuous.
not always, but in grade 9,
In grade 9,
it
it's
is
this way.
like
It
this
is, yeah.
because they don't have
This is
another
what
choice.
What it is
Maybe
required
in other classes, maybe at university, they may find something different. But
Yeah.
in grade 9,
It's always in the past.
introductory
Even later
is
on is
in the
also the same.
So, since the introductory word is past,
Said or told.
we need to go one step back. Of course, in grade 9, they don't have the past
They
perfect.
change. They don't. Yes.
But in grade 12, they have
perfect,
it.
Actually, yes.
But not in
Not
reported
in the
speech.
reported speech, right?
Yes.
And then
When we talk about told and said, with told we have an object pronoun,
Yes.
so told him, told her. With said we don't need to add anything. We have that, we can omit that, especially with said.
It is
but
optional, actually.
Yeah,
It's
and after
optional.
said, if we want to add a proposition, after the proposition we have a pronoun, like said to me or said to her. So here, that is not optional, okay? Like in told.
Yes.
And we said something about a and
The use of indefinite
Yeah.
pronouns and definite pronouns.
when we are talking about one thing the first time.
If we
it's a-
summarize, the indefinite pronouns are used with singular,
Singular,
countable,
countable.
definite,
Indefinite.
indefinite.
indefinite nouns
Yeah.
mentioned for the
That's
first
it, for
time,
the first
and
time.
we have more than
An
one
example,
of them.
When-
yes. With that we use
With
definite.
the listener
One-
needs to know what the speaker is talking about. If
That's-
it's clear for the listener,
Yeah.
it
So
is
we use-
okay. This clearness can come from when we have only one noun
One
in the
noun,
word
yeah.
or in the place.
Like, yeah.
When a noun is mentioned a second time,
Yeah.
with the names of musical instruments after
For
the word
the
play,
violin, the piano,
with some country names when they are more than one
the
word.
United Kingdom, the United Arab Emirates. Yes.
The
Yes.
Philippines, but it's one word.
Actually, the usage is better to be understood. Is it clear for the listener? So use the. Is the listener going to say which one you are talking about? Are you
Use
talking
a or
about
an.
use
And
a
when
or
we
an?
talk about
Or
the-
if it
yeah.
is uncountable?
And it's important when we talk about the position of things, like in the middle of, at the top of, at the bottom of. But when we talk about something, it has like possessive, okay? We use, there is no need to mention the here. We say a friend of mine, an idea of mine.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So there is no need.
Actually, we need to wrap up. At the end of the seminar, please, dear students, I hope you had benefit from what we have presented to you. And allow me to thank my colleagues in the studio, Ms. Ula Al-Mouay, English Language
you.
Supervisor, Tartus Directorate,
Thank you.
and Ms. Lamis Zainab,
so
English
much.
Language Teacher. Glad to be with you in this seminar.
honor.
Dear students, good luck in your study and hope you do always very well. Thank you and bye-bye.